Your parents paid around $25 a month for cable television. You are paying $219 a month just to access a similar kind of life. Same basic idea, different century, except now it is not just the TV. It is your fitness tracker, your cloud storage, your parking spot, your car's heated seats, all of it, monthly, with no clear end in sight. That $219 figure is not even close to the full picture for most households. When people are asked to estimate what they spend on subscriptions each month, the majority turn out to be off by what can only be described as an embarrassing margin, not a small rounding error, but significantly, structurally off. So when exactly did the American dream stop being something you own and start being something you pay to keep accessing, month after month, for the rest of your working life? The shift did not happen overnight because it unfolded slowly enough that most people did not register it while it was taking place. Think back to somewhere around 2010, when the transaction model still felt relatively straightforward and uncomplicated. You bought software once, installed it, and it stayed on your computer indefinitely, without asking anything else from you. You bought music once, either as a physical disc or a downloaded file, and that was the end of the financial relationship between you and that album. Then Adobe moved Photoshop to a mandatory monthly subscription model back in 2013, and a significant portion of its user base complained loudly and publicly about the change. Most of those people paid the new fee anyway, because what else were they realistically going to do? Once those monthly fees started feeling less like a decision and more like a utility bill, somewhere in that quiet psychological transition, the model began spreading into categories that had never operated that way before. By the mid-2020s, certain car manufacturers had started gating software features, including ones physically built into vehicles people had already purchased outright, behind additional monthly subscription fees. The idea that ownership meant having something fully and permanently began to dissolve in a way that was almost impossible to point to in real time. Now, the average American household, according to fairly recent data, is spending somewhere around $219 a month across all of their active subscriptions combined. That figure includes streaming platforms, cloud storage, fitness apps, wellness trackers, and whatever language learning app has been sitting unused on someone's phone for the past 4 months. Taken in isolation, $219 a month sounds manageable. It is roughly the cost of one dinner out for 2 people, easy to mentally file away and forget about. But what keeps surfacing in consumer surveys on this topic is that roughly 54% of American adults appear to significantly underestimate what they are actually spending on subscriptions each month. People estimate somewhere around $50 or $80 a month, and the real number turns out to be closer to 2 times that when anyone sits down and actually goes through their bank statements line by line. Part of the reason this gap exists is structural rather than personal, because subscriptions are deliberately designed to feel individually small and financially inconsequential. $4.99 here, $7.99 there, a $12.99 renewal that arrives on a day when your attention is elsewhere. None of those individual charges trigger the same mental alarm that a single $200 purchase would, even though the math over 12 months often works out worse. But subscriptions are honestly just the surface of it. A recent analysis from Investopedia attempted to put an actual dollar figure on what the full version of the American dream costs over the course of a single household's lifetime. The number they arrived at sits at somewhere around $5 million when you account for all of the traditional milestones: a home purchase, a comfortable retirement, raising 2 children through to adulthood, lifetime healthcare costs, vehicles, annual vacations, and a wedding somewhere along the way. The average college-educated household earning 2 full-time incomes is likely to fall short of that total by approximately $2.2 million across their combined working lives. That gap does not close through harder work or better personal financial decisions in any straightforward or realistic way, and it is worth being honest about the fact that this does not really read as a story about individual failure. Retirement alone is now estimated to require somewhere in the range of $1.6 million, calculated against average spending patterns and a modest inflation rate over a 20-year retirement period. Healthcare costs over a lifetime are estimated at roughly $414,000 for a typical household, which is a figure that would have been almost unimaginable to someone planning their financial future in the 1970s or 1980s. None of those costs are technically subscription fees in the modern digital sense, but they all operate on a structurally similar principle: ongoing, unavoidable, incrementally increasing payments for continued access to a standard of life that previous generations could often reach on a single income without a college degree. You could frame all of this as corporate greed or inflation or just bad timing for one generation, And honestly, some of that is probably true. But the subscription model was not built on guesswork. It was engineered around a well documented psychological reality. A $16.99 monthly charge feels manageable in a way that a $200 annual one never quite does, even when the math works out worse over the year. Auto renewals remove the moment of decision entirely. Cancellation flows add just enough friction to make staying feel easier than leaving, and the whole system performs exactly as intended, just not in your favor. You can audit your bank statement and cancel what you forgot about, and you probably should, but that does not touch the deeper shift this is really pointing at. For most of the 20th century, the American dream ran on a logic of accumulation. You paid for something, you owned it, and it stayed yours. That logic has been quietly replaced, not through any single announced change, but through a long series of small product decisions that collectively rewired how financial life works.